Hi, Melanie Muenchinger here, illustrator for Gina K Designs. Today I'm going to be sharing another fabulous frame project with you. Really excited about this discovery. When I'm planning my stamp sets, I can't tell you how much time and thought and effort goes into making sure that they're as versatile as they can possibly be, as well as coordinate as much as possible with other sets so that you just have a lot of variety with your looks and your stamping options. But there are some things that I can never come up with my sets until I actually get the stamps in hand and get to start experimenting with them. So the other day I was really excited to find that another stamp set in my frame series works perfectly with this fabulous frame. I think you're going to be really excited about it too. This frame stamp is from my set Branching Out, and it has a smaller outer border than the fabulous frame to create a larger border on your cards. And I found that it will actually nest perfectly inside of that fabulous frame, and it will end up creating a look that I just find stunning. I love how these borders that are intersecting go over and just create all those new panes, kind of like an arts and crafts prairie stained glass window. And also, forget the bird, but see how you can turn this layout 4 ways just like you can with the fabulous frame. Then you have this branch and all the other images that you see here, the little berries, birds, and flowers to add to that vine, plus some different images that you can cut with your dies and then layer over that center window. And I was just so happy to find that the proportions of this oval are exactly right for nesting inside of this window on fabulous frame. Today's card, very minimal supplies. We're going to be using some pure Luxury Kraft cardstock. You'll need the fabulous frame set and the Branching Out set. Need a large block that will work for both of those frames. Going to be stamping with the charcoal brown Gina K Designs ink. Going to have some smaller blocks for the bird, the flower, and that oval. We're going to use some Spectrum Noir markers. I've got the CG2, the CR7, and the GB7. And I'm going to use some silver adhesive nail heads, and I'm going to show you how you can color these with your alcohol markers. All right, so let's begin. I've already scored the craft cardstock to the 5.5 inch mark. This is 4 1/4 by 11 inches. And the question is if you're going to layer the frames, and as far as I know, from what I can tell, really this only works with the Branching Out and the fabulous frame. The other frames have a little too much going on, I think, to try to layer them, but let me know if you do find something that works. So I originally thought that it would be better to put the rubber down first, stamp, and then use the clear stamp over it. Otherwise you would be stamping blind. But because I've gotten a lot of staining on my block, or on my stamp, excuse me, I actually found that it was easier to stamp this first and then just drop it in, and you can see because you have that nice die cut edge in the rubber that it just stamps very nicely inside the frame. But let me just tell you real quickly, as I ink this up, you could prevent getting all that staining on the inside of the image. Obviously it won't affect your stamp either way, but it's harder to see through and it doesn't look as nice. The reason I have all this ink in here, this portion is obviously lower than these borders around the edge. I just got a little bit carried away and was stamping too quickly. So you want to make sure that both edges of your pad are going over 2 planes of the stamp. Otherwise it's going to drop in and it's going to hit all of these edges. So if you're just stamping across that oval, and then when it's time to ink up the bottom, since you have that big gap there, to go across like this, and that way it's getting onto the oval and the belly band as well and not dipping inside, you can prevent that staining. Okay, so let's go ahead and flip it over. And pardon me if my head gets in the way. This is just so that I can see where I'm putting that frame. And I just want to remind you that if you ever do get a little bit off and you're finding that the borders aren't quite even when you're stamping onto a single layer card, just remember, go ahead and just either flip it over or cut it out. You really haven't wasted any paper other than that score, because you can use that other half for something else. Okay, so we have this really elegant frame, but just let me show you how this is going to kick it up a notch when we peel this off. And whenever I'm placing my rubber frames onto the grid, I just want to make sure that that top edge is lined up with one of the lines on my grid line block, or if you don't have lines on your block, just that it's running parallel to a block edge. Okay, so let's go ahead and ink this one up. The reason why it has that big hole in it is because this stamp set also has a square with some little branches in the corners. So that is really nice for creating focal points. And these shapes fit in all sorts of die cuts. All right, so I'm going to have the branches on the bottom. And again, see, so you just lay that right over and you can see that it's fitting perfectly inside. And then drop it down. And lift it up. Isn't that pretty? Now you'll notice you might lose a little bit of the detail in the frame or in the branches when you're stamping on craft cardstock. That's just because the natural fibers in the paper, it's not going to be as smooth as when you are stamping with the ultra smooth white or ivory. All right, now let's go ahead and I'm going to add my oval. And I'm going to put these little branches on the left side. And you just lay it right over and stamp. See, and I just love how that looks. And a great Christmas design. I'm not ready for Christmas cards, but it would be to maybe do red and green in these borders and then add those berries. All right, so let's get to coloring this. And I'm going to start by doing the green here and here. Then I'm going to skip over, put it here and here. And I just think that looks so sharp, the way that those corners come together. You're having like a negative. Okay, then I'm going to do this outer border. And I'm so excited about how this looks. And then just adding different little flowers to it. Different color combinations. Okay. And then I thought it would be fun to just go ahead and color in this middle border. So because I have a bigger area, I'm going to go ahead and use my chisel tip, and it's actually almost exactly the same width as this border. So don't want to go right up to the edge, but I'm going to fill in the majority of it, and then you can go back around with your bullet tip. I'll show you in just a second. Flip it over when you're coloring on this Pure Luxury Kraft. You can do this on a single layer and it does not bleed through to the back side. Okay, almost done. And that's the same for the heavy base weight white cardstock as well. You can color on your single layers. I'm also, while I have my green pen out, I'm going to just do little dabs of color on these leaves. I just really like them stamped in brown or black, but even adding just a little bit of green is nice to add some color to that image. Or if you don't want the whole thing stamped in brown, you can certainly do a direct to stamp where you ink it up in brown and then you do your water-based markers directly onto those leaves with the green before stamping. Okay, and that just brings it out just a little bit. Now I'm going to go in with this kind of rusty orange, and I'm really excited about getting ready to make some fall cards. It's still so hot here, but I love making fall cards every year. And sometimes that season can feel a little short because people are always just so excited to move right on to Christmas. You can use your chisel tip as well on these sides of the belly band if you want. And I just realized I did forget to mention one other pad that we're going to be using, which is the tomato soup to stamp those flowers. So I thought the CR7, it looks like a really nice match for tomato soup, at least when it's on the craft. You might need something that's a little bit darker or redder if you're stamping on the white. Okay, that's done. And the card that I have photographed for this video, I left just with the orange and the green, but the card that I showed at the beginning, and I'll refer back to it in a second, I went ahead and added another layer with a little bit of aqua around the edge. But I think I like it better just with these earthy tones and having these borders open and clear. It just kind of looks like it's clear even though it's on the craft cardstock to me. All right, so let's go ahead and grab that tomato soup pad, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp on a couple little flowers. And just put on a few of these at random. Stop whenever you feel like it's done. Okay, isn't that pretty? Now I'm going to go ahead and add the bird. And whenever I am going to perch these birds on one of the frames or on one of the little ovals or squares or circles, I go ahead and I just put where his feet would be right at the crosshair of my block. So we'll go ahead and stamp him so that he's sitting there. And then we left a space for the greeting. So I'll go ahead and use that from the Fabulous Frame set. I always like to do, if there's an image under it, then I like to do the word on the bottom first. And that way I don't have to worry about running out of room. So I'll do the happy second. So birthday. And then happy. And I love this index sheet. I'm staying so organized with all of my sentiments by just getting able to put them right back on and be able to read them easily. Happy. Okay. And then the final thing that I want to do on this card is to color some of these adhesive nail heads. So that's what I'm going to use this GB7 for. And all you have to do is just swipe over it. See, and now these look like little gold studs. If you're not doing a single layer card, I would just probably use brads. I know you have a lot of those if you've bought any of the Stamp TV kits. Now I like to, since these are on a strip of adhesive, just to use some scissors to cut in between so you don't have a little sticky piece on the edge. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just pop these right into the center of these flowers. And you could also use liquid pearls or adhesive pearls, or just color it in with a marker or leave it open. There's a lot of different ways to embellish these little flowers. So 5 of these. And then I'm just going to take a few and put them on either side of that belly band, and it just really makes it pop. I'll do just a couple more here. Grab the green accidentally. I haven't had as much luck trying to color my buttons with the alcohol markers, but it might just depend on the finish of the button. Sometimes looks a little marbleized, but these metallic nail heads, they really do look very solid. So I'm going to put one here on one side and one on the other. Just like that. Okay. And it's done. Isn't that fun? And again, I just think that this can be used so many different ways. And then of course you could also stamp it so that the branch is overlapping that oval if you want to for your design. Hope this gives you lots of great new ideas for how to pair a fabulous frame with the Branching Out set. Branching Out is one of my other favorite sets in that frame series. It's just a really versatile set. And if you don't already have it, I hope that it is now on your wish list after seeing this fun idea in this video. Please visit my blog, Hands and Head and Heart, for more inspiration. Thank you for watching.